Hello Isopod fans, this is Wally Kern with Supreme Gecko, Supreme Isopods, coming to you once again with another Isopod setup review. I lied, we're coming to you with two Isopod setup reviews. Join me.
The Isopod vlog.
So why are we doing two Isopod setup reviews today? Well, the second review will be kind of special in that, well, you'll see. This first setup review that we're doing is from Abid, Rahman, and he actually has two setups he'd like me to review. One's for zebras, Armadillidium maculatum zebra, and the other is for clowns. Armadillidium Montenegro klugii, the clown zebras. So let's start watching.
So here's my setup for clown isopods and zebra isopods right over here. As you can see, it's in a 5-quart box. It's fairly new. I started these around a month ago. The substrate itself is ABG mix, and I added some worm casting to it, and some dried leaves are also mixed with the soil.
We're going to stop right there. That substrate sounds perfect. ABG mix is kind of a term used in the industry for all kinds of organic materials, and I'll give a little bit of a description of what the ABG mix is in the description below. But you've mixed in worm castings. I do that too. I love that mix for a substrate, and this should work perfect for you. Let's keep going.
This is the wet side. I've added some sphagnum moss on both of them, and then this side stays pretty dry.
We're going to stop there quickly. So you have the wet side. I like how you use the term wet side. And you have the dry side. This is absolutely so important with these two isopods. Zebras and clowns absolutely love a very distinct gradient between the moist side, the wet side, and the dry side. And it sounds like you're providing that. Great job.
There's cork barks around. And then I put some magnolia pods and some oak barks.
I'm going to stop there too. We're stopping a lot here because there's a lot of great points in this video. The magnolia pod, I'm not a huge fan of those. I just don't find that they work that well, at least in my setups. The babies congregate in those pods. The adults really don't use them. They kind of hang on a little bit to the pods, but these pieces of bark that you're using are far, far, far more valuable than the pods, in my opinion. Let's keep going.
This is usually where the zebras tend to hang out. And then over here I have the same. And then the clowns like to hang out on the cork barks. And then I have some oak caps all around. And then for food, I usually put fish flakes, some peas in there, sometimes carrots. I have cuttlebone on both of these.
We're going to stop there. The acorn caps, again, I don't see a real use for those. They're a nice decoration to your enclosure if that's what you're looking for. I don't think the isopods typically use, in my experience, they don't use them that much. The food that you're using, perfect. You've got the greens going in, you've got some other foods going in. Both of these isopods love their greens. So again, carrots or zucchini or pumpkin, anything a firmer vegetable is perfect for these isopods. Let's keep. You mentioned cuttlebone in here as well. Great calcium source, exactly what you need. Let's keep going.
And I have these nets on either side of them for cross ventilation. And also on top of the lid too. And usually this is on the drier side. So, you have 3 ventilation points over here for cross ventilation. That's about it for my setup. Thank you, Wally.
The ventilation, you have the 2 holes on the tub. You have a hole on the top. I'd like to see the hole on the top a little bit bigger. but it varies. Every house is going to be different. Every environment is going to be different. If this is working for you, it's perfect. The important part is that you have the ventilation, I feel, on the dry side, and that allows the cross ventilation, and it also allows your wet area to remain moist. So this is a great setup. I'm looking for other points that I could add to this for suggestions. I think the only suggestion that I really have for this enclosure is if you could add some leaves. Throw a few more leaves in there. A good handful of leaves on the dry end, obviously, would suffice for both of these enclosures. Otherwise, this is looking great. I mentioned the ventilation on the top, but that's my only other small point. And again, it might be working for you. In our house, where it's a little bit less airflow in some of the areas that we keep our isopods in, I like a little bit of a bigger hole, but minor point. This enclosure I would give a solid green to. It looks perfect. You should be getting babies from these clowns and from your zebras shortly if you haven't already. Great job. Really appreciate the submission, Abid, and I hope that this helps. Let's get on to our second submission. Okay, this is coming from Derrick or Oranin on the YouTube channel, and this is interesting because, well, I'm going to get into it. Let's go ahead and watch the video, and we're going to watch it all the way through, and we'll see if we can pick up anything.
In there. But the one that I'm concerned about, it hasn't taken off as quickly, maybe just because they're seasonal, is my Porcellio hoffmannseggi.
One of my favorites.
Which have been around for a couple months, but they have not started to breed.
2 months he's had them.
And everything seems to be okay. They have plenty of springtails and food variety, and they seem to be picking up everything. The log that is kind of bare, but I still just have some full-grown adults, male and female, and they mostly like to just hang out underneath this log. And yeah, they can get as much moistness or dryness as they want as they can come forward. So I figured that would be a good way, and it's right up next to a blowing fan for ventilation, cross ventilation. And that seems to be the way. Most people can keep theirs a little bit drier. I just have not had any mankai on this. And they're probably all under there, but I don't want to disturb them in case they are getting comfortable.
Okay, anyone see anything? These are hoffmannseggi. He's had them for a couple of months. He doesn't say how many males, females he has, the ratios, but the setup looks absolutely perfect in my mind. I don't think hoffmannseggi need a huge enclosure, especially if you have a smaller number of males and females, smaller quantity of males and females. We don't see the isopods. We don't know if they're actually mature. You say that you see that they're males and females, so I'm going to assume that you have adult-sized hoffmannseggi. And with that assumption, we're going to carry forward. Again, the setup looks great, the food looks great, the ventilation looks great. Everything looks fantastic here. As long as you have that wet area in the front and the dry area in the back, everything looks great here. The one thing that I would mention here is you've had them for 2 months. These are a seasonal isopod, meaning that they breed seasonally. So they'll breed, for me here, and everybody's environment is different. For me, my hoffmannseggi breed in May, June, July. If you've had them in here and they've been established for a period of time and you've gone through that season, then perhaps you should see babies. If not, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You might have to wait a whole year for these guys, but they are seasonable and they do need a little bit of a time period to settle in. And after that, they will breed, especially in this enclosure. Derrick, this is a great looking setup. I have no issues with it whatsoever. Everything's set. It's just a matter now of patience. Thank you both for submitting these videos. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody's gaining some knowledge, some education from these videos. If you are, hit that like button, please. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification all so you don't miss another one of these videos. Thank you everyone for watching.